السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونؤمن به سبحانه وتعالى ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله العظيم من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله عليه الصلاة والسلام. Bismillah, to begin. Insha'Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, we will resume where we left off at in the last class a couple weeks back, when we were talking about some differences between the authentic Hanbali madhab and the Salafi methodology. And last week we didn't talk about a major issue, and actually we delayed that issue to talk about it separately. And it is the issue of difference between the Hanbalis and the so-called Salafis concerning Allah Azza wa Jalla being a body, or being a composite body, something made up of parts. The Hanbalis agree with the rest of Ahlul Sunnah, the Ash'aris and Maturidis, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a body, and Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala does not have physical attributes. And what is attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that outwardly seems as if it's saying that He Azza wa Jalla is a body, or He has parts, or He's in a place, or He moves, or such like this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these things are negated from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is affirmed for Him is the dissimilarity from His creations. Now, we're going to read, insha'Allah, if we were to read all of the quotes of the Ahlul Sunnah that Allah Ta'ala is not a body, that would take hours, especially if we looked in the books of tafsir, books of theology, books of all different sciences, even the books of language, where the scholars said that Allah Ta'ala is not a body. That would take all day. So we're just going to focus on statements from the Hanbalis themselves. The school that Ibn Taymiyyah follows, or he says that he follows, right? Or at least in fiqh, he basically based the main principles of fiqh that he understood to be on the Hanbali madhab. Look at what some of the ulama of the Hanabila have to say about Allah Ta'ala being a body or not. And then let's compare those to the statements of Ibn Taymiyyah and some of his followers. First of all, we start off with Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal himself, rahimahullah ta'ala. And we have his statement here in a number of places. We have one from this page, which I compiled some different statements of the Hanbalis. But we have from his actual book itself. What he says here, basically, قال رئيس الحنابلة في زمانه أبو الفضل التميمي البغدادي الحنبلي المتوفى سنة 1400 حاكيا عن الإمام أحمد مذهبه. The leader of the Hanbalis in his time, Abul Fadl al-Tamimi al-Baghdadi al-Hanbali, who died 410 years after the Hijrah, said in relaying the methodology of the Imam of his madhab, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, rahimahullah tabaraka wa ta'ala, he said in his book, اعتقاد الإمام المنبل أحمد بن حنبل Abee Abdullah Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He said in this book, now this is his relaying what the Imam of the madhab believed, what the creed of the Imam of the madhab, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, was. What he said was, وَأَنْكَرَ عَلَى مَنْ يَقُولُ بِالْجِسْمِ. This is on page 45. And he basically rebuked, or he forbade a person to state that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was a physical body, was a jism. Remember this word jism. In Arabic, jism means a body, right? And In theology, jism means anything which is composed of parts. Even if it was down to a singular jawhar. A jawhar is an indivisible particle, something that is so small it can't be split any smaller. If that jawhar was connected to another jawhar, each of those jawhars would be called the jism because they're connected to something else. So that which is connected is a jism. If it is compounded with anything, the fact that it's compounded makes it a jism. So Al-Imam Ahmad alayhi rahmatullah denied and forbade a person state Allah Ta'ala was a physical body, was a jism. And he said, وَقَالْ إِنَّ الْأَسْمَاءَ مَأْخُوذَةٌ بِالشَّرِيعَةِ وَاللُّغَةِ. He would say that the names of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala are derived and taken from the Sharia, from the Islamic law, and the lugha, the Arabic language. وَأَهْلُ اللُّغَةِ وَضَعُوا هَذَا الْإِسْمَ عَلَى كُلِّ ذِي طُولٍ وَعَرْضٍ وَسَمَكٍ وَتَرْكِيبٍ وَصُورَةٍ وَتَأْلِيفٍ. And the people of the language, the Arabs and the Arabic language, have coined this word jism for everything that has a length, a width, depth, is compounded or made up, and has a form, and is basically composite, made up of things. Look what he says, وَاللَّهُ تَعَالَى خَارِجٌ عَنْ ذَلِكَ كُلِّهِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is outside of all of that. Allah is excluded from all of the above. None of those things apply to Allah. He's not a surah, He's not a form, or a shape, or something like this. He doesn't have tarkeeb. He's not compounded or made up of parts. Tarkeeb and ta'lif mean pretty much the same thing. He's not made up of parts, or He's not built up of things, compounded. He doesn't have tul, arad, or samak. He doesn't have tul, arad, and samak. Like he's outside of having length, width, and height. He doesn't have tul, arad, and samak. Allah Azza wa Jalla is outside of all of this. So he says, Wallahu ta'ala kharijun an dhalika kullihi falam yajuz an yusamma jisman li khurujihi an ma'na al-jismiyya. So it's not permissible to call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a body because of Him being excluded from the meaning of body. وَلَمْ يَجِئْ فِي الشَّرِيعَةِ ذَلِكَ فَبَطَلْ. Furthermore, this name jism did not come in the Sharia, in the Quran or the Sunnah, describing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so it's false. Meaning it's false in both instances, by way of language, the linguistic meaning of jism, and by way of Sharia, by way of the two revelations of the Quran and the Sunnah. This term is false, and it cannot be used for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This term is false when it applies to Allah Azza wa Jal. So you see now this stance. Did y'all catch this stance? His stance was the stance of a person who denies Allah being a jism. Not saying it's okay to call Allah a jism. It's not okay to say He's a jism. It is not okay to say He's not a jism. He said, no, He's not a jism. Linguistically or through the Islamic law, legally, we don't call Allah Ta'ala a jism either way. And what has come to us in the Quran or Sunnah, and what's come to us in the language. Okay? This was the stance of Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah ta'ala, by Al-Imam Abul Fadl at-Tamimi, who different imams said about him that he was trustworthy. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, rahmatullahi alayhi, said, Kana saduqan, he was truthworthy. And I read this quote last class that we had here. Kana saduqan dufina ila janbi qabr al-Imam Ahmad. He was trustworthy, he was honest, and he was buried next to the grave of Imam Ahmad. Do you have a question, Akhi? Yeah, ask him. Allahu alam, if it was actually a response, he was asking that, why did Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal make this statement? Was it in response to someone? The thing is that the methodology of the anthropomorphists is not a new one. It even existed back then. Because it was such a foolish madhab, and they never had anyone who was a bona fide like scholar to support them, their madhab never really grew like that. It was never really as strong or popular or have any kind of real pool or juice or anything. It never really was like that. So their refutation of them was nowhere near the amount of refutation they gave towards, for instance, the Mu'tazila, who had a lot of followers and had people who were actual shuyukh in their group, people who actually knew usul al-fiqh, even made some of the most earliest, probably the earliest usul al-fiqh books. You know, these people had to be refuted because they actually had some stature in the scholastic world, the world of scholars. They actually had a place, so they had to be knocked down. Not only that, but there were also rulers and leaders that listening to them. So there was a real strong need to refute the Mu'tazila with a strong force. The Mujassima, the anthropomorphists, they existed, but their madhab was so weak. It was like, why even waste time with these dudes? Nobody believe this kind of nonsense. Allah moves and changes and comes and goes and sits and stands and all this. This is nonsense. Like, this isn't from another religion. This is people who, I don't know, worship Jesus or worship cows or worship something that's like a creation that can change and move and has a shape and form and appearance and all this kind of stuff. So they didn't give them so much attention. But that actual statement itself, it could be that somebody asked him about this, but it doesn't actually say, it doesn't mention though that, for instance, someone said this to him. It just said that he denied that someone say this. Like someone, if anyone says this, he forbade this to be said by anyone. Basically, that's the meaning of what it was saying. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. But that was never an accepted opinion in Islam, and it was always it was always so weak that, like I said, the ulama didn't really give it a whole bunch of attention and time and stuff like this, because of it being such a weak methodology that says something like this about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, and there are some other quotes here. Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la al-Hanbali, the Aqeedah of Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la. Now, Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la, mind you, was one of the founders of the Hanbali madhab. Okay, and he was early. He lived like in the early part of the ummah. He said, وَلَا يُوصَفُ بصفات المخلوقين الدالة على حدثهم ولا يجوز عليه ما يجوز عليهم من التغير من حال إلى حال ليس بجسم ولا جوهر ولا عرض. Now, the first part, actually, I mentioned this quote last class too, but I didn't focus on the part about Allah not being a jism. I mentioned that in the translation of it, and he is not described with the qualities of the creations that indicate their temporality, that indicate them coming into existence after non-existence and changing and such. He said, وَلَا يَجُوزُ عَلَيْهِ مَا يَجُوزُ عَلَيْهِمْ. And what is possible for them is not possible for him in the terms of changing from state to state. لَيْسَ بِجِسْمٍ وَلَا جَوْهَرٍ وَلَا عَرَضٍ. He is not a physical body. He is not a particle, or like he's not a substance, that which takes up space and has a form, right? And he is not an arad, he is not an accident, he is not a quality that exists with a physical object, like color or like size or movement or stillness or these types of things that come and go with a physical body that are not the physical body itself, but they are attributes of the physical body. He is not any of this. This is what one of the founding fathers of the Hanbali madhab said early on. He didn't just say, وَلَا نَقُولُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ جِسْمٌ أَوْ لَيْسَ بِجِسْمٍ. He didn't say that we don't say Allah is not a body and we don't say that He's not a body. He straight up said, لَيْسَ بِجِسْمٍ وَلَا جَوْهَرٍ وَلَا عَرْضٍ. He's not a body. He's not a substance. He's not an accident. This is a stance. This is not a stance. This is a stance. The son of Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la, his name is Abul Husain. He also, in a book called Aqeedah, he said the same thing pretty much his father said. After he mentioned different ayat and ahadith that are what the current day Salafis say are literal attributes with the literal meaning that's understood by all, and they're not obscure, and the meaning is known to us. But then when you ask them what that meaning is, they start choking and coughing and stuff. What's that meaning? Okay, the meaning is known to us. The meaning is understood. Then what is the meaning? Tell me the meaning. They say the word over again to you, right? Say, what's the meaning of hand? Hand. I remember, Akhi, we actually debated with one of them on Aslain, the Arabic Aslain. I debated with him in Arabic. We were going back and forth on the internet. So I asked him, I said to him, Akhi, then tell me, what's the meaning of yad? Tell me what yad is. So he said, the meaning of yad is hand. He spelled H-A-N-D in English. I'm like, Akhi, what are you doing? We talking Arabic and you tell me yad is hand? I said, no, that's not the definition of yad. That's the translation of yad into English. Define yad to me. So he said, yad is yad. I said, no, that's still not a definition. You can't, anyone who knows any type of knowledge of logic knows that one of the things you do in logic is you define things. The definition is supposed to not have the word it defines in it, or it is a flawed definition. You can't define something one of the things about the definition, the word that you're defining cannot be present in the definition. It has to be all words other than what the actual word you're defining is. So how can you say that yad is yad, and ayn is ayn, eye is eye, and hand is hand, and face is face, and all this? You gotta define it. Tell me what it is. If you look in a dictionary, they don't say yad is yad. They said that yad is al-kaf. They'll say it's the palm. Or they'll say, like in the books of fiqh, yad is understood to be from the tips of your fingers all the way up to your shoulders. Which is why Allah Ta'ala, when He said that, and wash your hands up to your elbows, He said it because in the Arabic language, hand is all of this. The whole arm is hand. So Allah limited from saying your hand, so the Arabs wouldn't believe that you're washing up to your shoulder. So He said up to your elbow, stop at the elbow. This is as far as you have to go. You can stop here, not all the way up. So I'm saying, so then you're saying Allah has a shoulder? Allah has fingers. From the fingertips to the shoulder is what we understand by hand in Arabic, Akhi. That's what yad means in Arabic. So don't say to me that yad is yad and you don't want to affirm the shoulder and fingers. Because this is what's understood by yad. So when they're saying that the meanings are known, Akhi, the meanings are known to who? When did the Sahaba radiallahu anhum talk about the meanings of these things, except to make ta'weel of them and say that, it means power, it means something else? You know what I mean? Not the literal meaning that people understand, even saq or shin. Abdullah bin Abbas alayhima radwanallah said that the saq is not actually the part of the leg like the shin. He said that the saq is a difficulty or hardship. On the Day of Judgment, that Allah Ta'ala would uncover this hardship, would remove this hardship or such on the last day. So I'm saying that to say that, when they say that the names, that, these words are known and understood and meant, and the literal meaning is meant, well, why do you shy away from explaining it then? Tell us what it is. When we read foot, then tell me, explain to me, is foot actual this thing I have at the bottom of my leg? This is the foot from my ankle down? I'm going to try to understand. Because if that's what you believe, you should be able to say it. If you feel too ashamed to repeat it and say it, something's wrong with your aqeedah then. So don't say the literal meaning is meant, because you're playing games. Anyway, Abul Husain al-Hanbali, the son of Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la. Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la also, just to make a quick note, he was the one that Al-Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah ta'ala, refuted in his book, Daf'u Shubah al-Tashbih bi Akuf al-Tanzih, the one that Ustaz Abdullah translated as the attributes of God. That's one of the shuyukh of the Hanabila. He was refuting that. He said they misrepresented the Hanbali madhab and making it seem as though Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, rahimahullah, was an anthropomorphist who likened Allah to the creation by making some of the statements that they said. Now mind you, the previous anthropomorphists, the people who did anthropomorphism back in those days, were very different than the Salafis who do anthropomorphism now. Very different. Please don't think, if Imam Ibn Jawzi rahimahullah could see what's happening now, he would turn in his grave. If he could see what's happening now, people will say that Hanbalis now what they're doing, Allahu Alam, he would probably dedicate the rest of his life to refuting them. Not just one book, because he refuted them in Sayd al-Khatir. Another one of his books, it wasn't a book on the creed, he refuted them in that book. He refuted him in Talbis Iblis. He also spoke of the anthropomorphists in that book and gave some refutations against them. In his tafsir, he refuted them in different places. In his explanation of Sahih al-Bukhari, he also refuted them. And then, like I said, he made that book, Dafu Shubat Tashbih, the attributes of God. That book was just dedicated to the refutation of them. So if he was alive now, we could see the level of anthropomorphism that people have reached, because at least these ulama said Allah is not a body. Now they say, no, you shouldn't even say Allah is not a body. You shouldn't say he is, you shouldn't say he isn't, as we will soon read from Ibn Taymiyyah himself. And they quote him, they repeat the same thing, they parrot the same stuff Ibn Taymiyyah has in his books, that we don't say Allah is a body, we don't say he's not a body, because to affirm or negate this is an innovation. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Something that the whole ummah has an ijma' on is an innovation now. So inshallah, we'll see. We'll just take a look at this. Abul Husain al-Hanbali, al-Qadi Abu Ya'la's son, says in his book, Kitab al-I'tiqad, فَإِنْ اعْتَقَدَ مُعْتَقِدٌ. This is after he read some ayat and ahadith that the outward meaning of it, if taken literally, can mean physical limbs and body parts, or movement and change, or being in a place or such. He said, فَإِنْ اعْتَقَدَ مُعْتَقِدٌ فِي هَذِهِ الصِّفَاتِ وَنَظَائِرِهَا مِمَّا وَرَدَتْ بِهِ الْآثَارُ الصَّحِيحَةِ التَّشْبِيهَ فِي الْجِسْمِ وَالنَّوْعِ وَالشَّكْلِ وَالطُّولِ فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ. So if a person believes about these qualities and the likes of them that have come in the sound narrations, anthropomorphism or likeness of Allah to physical bodies in type and in size and shape, that person's a kafir. That person is a disbeliever. Al-Qadi Abu Ali, Muhammad ibn Abi Musa al-Hashimi, al-Baghdadi, al-Hanbali, this sheikh right here, he died 428 years after the Hijrah. And actually there was some heat against him and the Ash'ari of his time. There was a debate and there was some stuff going on in between them at that time. They had some disagreements. Him and the Ash'aris of his age had some back and forth, stuff that was going on with them. But look, like I said, the anthropomorphism of old, some statements that they said that these are literal, like these things are literal, but Allah's not a body. Like, not literal, they wouldn't say literal, they would say that the outward meaning was meant. And they would mean that the outward meaning does not mean a physical body or physical traits. The outward meaning means something else, but it's the outward meaning. It's not a ta'wil, or it's not an interpretation. It's the outward meaning, but even that outward meaning itself does not mean Allah is a body or changes or... Now, Ibn Taymiyyah's thing was, no, it is literal. It's not just outward meaning, it's literal, and it does mean Allah changes and moves and all this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different understanding between the early Hanbalis who were accused of anthropomorphism and the methodology of Ibn Taymiyyah who actually supported anthropomorphism. So he says, Al-Qadi Abu Ali Muhammad ibn Abi Musa al-Hashimi al-Baghdadi says, صِفَاتُهُ كَذَاتِهِ. Allah Ta'ala's qualities are like His essence. لَيْسَ بِجِسْمٍ فِي صِفَاتِهِ جَلَّ أَنْ يُشَبَّهَ بِمُبْتَدَعَاتِهِ أَوْ يُضَافَ إِلَى مَصْنُوعَاتِهِ لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. He said His qualities are like His essence. He is not a body in His qualities, meaning that His qualities that they are affirming when they say what they say wajh and yad and ayn and all these, they say that He is not a body with these descriptions. These descriptions do not mean Allah Ta'ala is a physical body. Allah is exalted and sublime from being likened to His creations or being ascribed to what He has made. There is nothing like unto Him, there is nothing like Him, and He is the all-hearing, the all-seeing. Surah Ash-Shura, verse number 11. Al-Arif Billah, the recognizer of Allah, Al-Imam Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, rahimahullah, was also a Hanbali. He said, describing his Lord Azza wa Jal, قال العارف بالله الإمام عبد القادر الجيلاني الحنبلي واصفا رب العزة سبحانه وتعالى. He said in a book called Aqeedatul Akabir, page number 5, لا يدرك بالقياس ولا يمثل بالناس ليس بجسم فيمس ولا بجوهر فيحس كيف الكيف وتنزه عن الكيفية وأين الأين وتعزز عن الأينية. Allah Ta'ala cannot be sensed by using analogies, and He cannot be compared to or likened to people or to the creation. He's not a physical body that He could be touched, nor is He a substance that He could be felt. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala created the kayf of things, and He Himself is free and absolved from having any kind of kayfiyah. He has made the how of everything He's given a how to, and He Himself is above having a how. I mean, like everything, there is like how you get up, how you sit down, how you eat, how you look, how you are. Allah made the how, the state of everything. But He Himself has no states like this. A form, a movement, this and that. Allah doesn't have this. وَأَيَّنَ الْأَيْنِ وَتَعَزَّزَ عَنِ الْأَيْنِيَّةِ. And Allah Ta'ala created the places. The ain means where. Like aina ant, where are you? Ain means where. So He said, Allah Ta'ala ayyan al-ain. He made the places. He placed the places, and He is exalted from being in a place. Subhanahu wa jalla wa ala. Al-Faqih Abul Khattab Mahfuz ibn Ahmad al-Kalwadani al-Hanbali, who we also mentioned him, and we mentioned a statement that one of his students said that he is an Ash'ari. He's a Hanbali in fiqh, but he's actually an Ash'ari in creed, basically. In his poem that he made, which ends with dal, it's a poem daliyah, he said, قالوا فهل لله جسم مثلنا قلت المجسم عندنا كالملحد. He said, they asked me, they said, so is Allah a physical body like us? I said, the anthropomorphist, the one who believes Allah is a body. A jism is a body. Mujassim is the one who believes Allah is a body. He said, قُلْتُ الْمُجَسِّمُ عِنْدَنَا كَالْمُلْحِدِ. He said that the mujassim, as far as we're concerned, is like an atheist. He's a heretic. He doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if he thinks this. قال الإمام الإسماعيلي. Al-Imam al-Ismaili was a sheikh who was not an Ash'ari, and he was following the Shafi'i madhab, but he would be from the Atharis. He would be from the Ahlul Hadith. I believe that question came up the other time about the Tahawiyah, right? So this would be an example of one of those shuyukh who was an Athari Ahlul Hadith as far as the Aqeedah was concerned, as far as the fiqh was concerned. He was a Shafi'i. And actually he made a book called I'tiqadu Ahlul Hadith. That book is in here in this compilation. Naam, I'tiqadu Ahlul Hadith. أنبأنا أبو بكر أحمد بن إبراهيم الإسماعيلي. And then in this he says what we're about to quote from him right here, where he says in the book I'tiqadu Ahl al-Hadith, the belief of the people of Hadith. And this is what people are saying. They're going with this claim saying we're Ahl al-Hadith. Look what he says. وَلَا يُعْتَقَدُ فِيهِ بِالْأَعْضَاءِ وَالْجَوَارِحِ وَلَا الطُّولِ وَالْعَرْضِ وَالْغِلَظِ وَالدِّقَّةِ وَنَحْوِ هَذَا مِمَّا يَكُونُ مِثْلُهُ فِي الْخَلْقِ وَأَنَّهُ لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. He says that one is not to believe about Allah that there are physical limbs and body parts, nor length or width or thickness or depth or thinness or the likes of this that exists in the creation, for there is nothing like him. Nah. And then further on, he said, ويعتقدون جواز الرؤية من العباد المتقين لله عز وجل في القيامة دون الدنيا ووجوبها لمن جعل الله ذلك ثوابا له في الآخرة كما قال وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة. And he's talking about the beatific vision or sighting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter, that this is something that is affirmed by the Ahlul Sunnah, until he said further down, he says, and Allah ta'ala says about the kuffar, كَلَّا إِنَّهُمْ عَنْ رَبِّهِمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ لَمَحْجُوبُونَ. Allah said about the disbelievers that, nay, they on that day will be veiled from seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will be veiled from their Lord. Surah Al-Mutaffifin, verse number 15. He says, فَلَوْ كَانَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ كُلُّهُمْ وَالْكَافِرُونَ كُلُّهُمْ لَا يَرَوْنَهُ كَانُوا جَمِيعُهُمْ عنه محجوبين وذلك من غير اعتقاد التجسيم في الله عز وجل ولا التحديد له. And he's saying that if the mu'minun, all of the believers and disbelievers were all not to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they would all be veiled from him. And that is without believing in tajseem, that Allah is a physical body, azza wa jal, or tahdeed, or specification of how that will be. And it can also, tahdeed can also mean limitation, that Allah Ta'ala is at this limit and the people are at this limit. So Allah Ta'ala is facing them, He's over there and they're over here. Both of these are negated. All of these quotes we mentioned were from Hanbalis only, not Ash'aris and Maturidis. These are from Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah, on. All of these were Hanbalis before the lifetime of Ibn Taymiyyah. And oh my goodness, subhanallah. If I was to bring this out, Daf' Shubh al-Tashbih bi Kuf al-Tanzih of Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, then we could make witr here tonight. We could make witr here tonight. If he was going to pull out what Al-Imam Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah, how hard he refuted the anthropomorphists of his time, including some of the Hanabila we mentioned in this. Some of the Hanabila that we quoted from, he refutes them. And there's even more Hanbalis that we didn't even mention in these quotes. واحتج بعضهم بأنه على العرش بقوله تعالى إليه يصعد الكلم الطيب والعمل الصالح يرفعه. And some of them used as an argument to claim Allah Ta'ala is on the throne the fact that Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Fatir, verse number 10, إليه يصعد الكلم الطيب والعمل الصالح يرفعه. To Allah Ta'ala ascends the good word, and the righteous deeds He raises them up. وَبِقَوْلِهِ تَعَالَى وَهُوَ الْقَاهِرُ فَوْقَ عِبَادِهِ. And with Allah Ta'ala saying, and He is the qahir, the conqueror over His servants, over His creations. Surah Al-An'am, verse number 18. He said, وَجَعَلُوا ذَلِكَ فَوْقِيَّةً حِسِّيَّةً وَنَسُوا أَنَّ الْفَوْقِيَّةَ الْحِسِّيَّةَ إِمَّا أَن تَكُونَ لِجِسْمٍ أَوْ جَوْهَرٍ وَأَنَّ الْفَوْقِيَّةَ قَدْ تُطْلَقُ لِعُلُوِّ الْمَرْتَبَةِ فَيُقَالُ فُلَانٌ فَوْقَ فُلَانٍ ثم إنه كما قال تعالى فوق عباده قال تعالى وهو معكم فمن حملها على العلم حمل خصمه الاستواء على القهر. He says that, and they, because of these two ayats, and He is a conqueror over His servants or His slaves, they understood this to be a physical highness, a physical aboveness. And they forgot the fact that physical aboveness only can be for a jism or a jawhar, for a physical body or a jawhar, a substance. وَأَنَّ الْفَوْقِيَّةَ قَدْ تُطْلَقُ لِعُلُوِّ الْمَرْتَبَةِ. And the fact that highness or aboveness can also be used for aboveness and rank and status. So it said, so-and-so is over so-and-so. You know what I'm saying? So like a person may say, like for instance, the captain's over the lieutenant or such like this, or the boss is over the employee or such like this. So he's saying that this is also a type of highness and aboveness. So he says, just as Allah Ta'ala has said, فَوْقَ عِبَادِهِ, over his slaves, he is the conqueror over his slaves. And Allah Ta'ala has also said, and he is with you wherever you are. In Surah Al-Hadid, verse number 4, وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ, he says that whoever understands this to be knowledge, then the one who disagrees with him can also understand the istiwa to be conquering. وَقَدْ ذَهَبَ طَائِفَةٌ إلى أن الله تعالى على عرشه قد ملأه والأشبه أنه مماس للعرش والكرسي موضع قدميه. قال قلت المماسة إنما تقع بين جسمين وما أبقى هذا في التجسيم بقية. And a group have went to the idea that Allah Ta'ala is on the throne and he has filled it up. He's filled it up. Ibn al-Qayyim mentions this same idea. He mentions this in his book Ijtima'ul Juyush al-Islamiyya. He has that quote in there. And what he's trying to refute, who he calls the Jahmiyyah, who are actually Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, he has this same quote that imtala bihi al-arsh. The arsh became full of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like a cup become full of water, you pour water into the cup, become full. Like the throne had the seat there and it became full of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That quote is in Ijtima' al-Juyush al-Islamiyya. How would it be then? How would Ibn al-Jawzi feel about Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya, the son of the custodian of the Jawziyya school that Ibn al-Jawzi's grandson built and made? How would he feel that a person came from that Hanbali school saying the opposite of what he said the true Hanbali school is? When he's saying that some people went to the statement that Allah has filled up the throne and that it's most likely that Allah Ta'ala is touching the throne. And this is another statement that we're gonna, man, subhanAllah, man, we're gonna bring these statements out, man. We're gonna bring these statements out so that people, this can be recorded for whoever wants to know the truth about this stuff. People are straight lying. They're lying and misrepresenting the reality. That cannot continue. And then he say, well, kursiyu mawdi'u qadamayhi, and that the kursi is the place of his 2 feet. If anyone saw the classes we did in Southwest Philly, what we said about the statement of Ibn Uthaymeen in his tafsir, when he mentioned the Ayatul Kursi, he said that the kursi is in front of the throne. وَهُوَ مَوْضِعُ قَدَمَيْهِ is the place of Allah Ta'ala's 2 feet. It's a difference in saying مَوْضِعُ الْقَدَمَيْن. مَوْضِعُ الْقَدَمَيْن could mean the place of the 2 feet, meaning that it is in front of the throne where the 2 feet would go. Not that Allah Ta'ala has 2 feet, not his 2 feet, but where the feet go. Which is basically to say then that there's a throne here, there's a footstool there. If a person went to a barber shop, you sit in a chair, there's a footstool where your feet go. That footstool is a footstool whether or not you're sitting in the chair, but because that's how the chair is made, there's a footstool there regardless. As opposed to saying the place of his 2 feet means that you're attributing that place to him and that he has feet and that his feet are there. So it's different. So he said that قُلْتُ الْمُمَاسَّةُ إِنَّمَا تَقَعُ بَيْنَ جِسْمَيْنِ. He said touching, this is only affirmed for 2 physical bodies. وَمَا أَبْقَى هَذَا فِي التَّجْسِيمِ بَقِيَةً. He said, and this did not leave anything out of anthropomorphism or saying Allah Ta'ala is a physical body. That is totally anthropomorphism. To say or believe this, that Allah Ta'ala touches the creation or that he has 2 feet and those 2 feet are in front of the throne or such like this. And furthermore, these types of things cannot be taken anyway because they didn't come in a sound narration or in the Quran. These are things that are narrated from weak chains from some of the tabi'een and such. So this is not even acceptable in creed. In fiqh, it would have a hard time to be accepted. So in the Aqeedah, even more so. Why would a person even take this? Unless they were trying to cause fitna and cause confusion. So there is a quote actually where it talks about Allah Ta'ala touching Adam, peace be upon him, our father, touching him actually, with his hands actually touching him. And the naqd of Uthman ibn Sa'id al-Darimi. And we'll read that quote because this is a book that Ibn Taymiyyah also said that a person should really read that book. He advised people to read that book really strongly. Ashadd al-wasiyya. Ibn Qayyim said that my teacher Ibn Taymiyyah advised people to read that book very strongly. But that book has things that goes against the Aqeedah entirely. That Allah Ta'ala touched Adam alayhi salam, massahu biyadihi masisa. Where'd this come from? Masisa? He touched him in touching him. Masisa. Akhi, this is not where you get adding these words from. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala, when someone talked about the hadith of nuzul, of descending, and someone just made a statement that Allah Ta'ala doesn't descend, like he moves or comes down, he said, don't say this. Just say what the hadith says. He's not saying that you're wrong. He's just saying if you read the hadith, don't explain it. Just read it how it is and leave it like that. Not to affirm or deny, but just say, just read it and leave it alone. Don't explain it. How would he feel about someone explaining it, saying masisa, which even the tabi'in, or these people didn't say this. Touch Adam alayhi salam and touching him. This is an addition. If we're going to just, the real methodology of Ahlul Hadith was to just say the hadith and have sukut. Be silent. Narrate the hadith, have sukut. Narrate the hadith, shut your mouth. Narrate the hadith, remain silent. That was it. That was the Ahlul Hadith way. We're not going to explain the hadith. We're going to say that we believe in what Allah Ta'ala meant, the Prophet ﷺ meant by this. That's all. But we know he didn't mean he's a body, or he moves, or he changed, or he has hands and eyes and feet and come down and go up and moving and all. We know that's not what Allah means. But what Allah does mean, we don't know for sure, but we believe it. So inshallah ta'ala, we'll start from Maghrib. I believe it's time, inshallah ta'ala, or it will be time in a few. So inshallah, we'll end here. And bi'idhnillah ta'ala, we will restart after Salah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Haykumullah. Do y'all know why we do this? The reason why we do this, ya akhwani fillah, is because Hudhayfa radiallahu anhu, who was a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman radwanullahi tabaraka wa ta'ala alayhi, used to say that the people used to ask Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam about good things, but I used to ask him about bad things so that I could protect myself from those things if they happen in my lifetime. So he used to ask the Prophet ﷺ about the fitna, as opposed to asking him about what is the best of these. One person against the Prophet said that, ma afdal al-a'mali ya Rasulullah, like, what is the best of the good deeds, O Rasulullah ﷺ? So he would tell them, imanun billah wa birrul walidain, he would tell them the good things, having faith in Allah, treating your parents kindly, such like this. But Hudhayfa radiallahu anhu used to ask the Prophet about the fitna, about the bad things. Why? So that he could protect himself he could safeguard himself from those things. And it came that not everyone knew about the fitna. Not everybody knew about the fitna. The fitna was not common knowledge necessarily. But those few people who knew about the fitna, it's their duty to protect themselves and as many other people as they could from that fitna. They were for reference. People would refer to them. And to the extent that Umar alayhi radwanullah would say that if Hudhayfa didn't go to a person's janazah to pray the funeral prayer, I would also stay behind out of fear that that person might be a hypocrite, because Hudhayfa knew the names of the hypocrites. And if he didn't go pray for that person, then maybe there's something was wrong with that person. To the extent that Umar radiallahu anhu says, Ya Hudhayfa, am I from the munafiqeen? He asked him, and this is Umar promised Jannah, the second best of this ummah. After the Prophet ﷺ asked Hudhayfa radiallahu anhu, someone who was not even at his level of superiority amongst the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, he asked someone who was lower in rank than he is, am I from the munafiqeen? So he says, Umar, you're not from the munafiqeen, but I will not tell anybody after this day if they are or if they're not. So I'm saying that to say that, in times when fitna breaks out, the answer of the fitna is in the deen. People may want to do the ostrich thing and put their head in the sand. You ever seen the ostrich with his head buried? The ostrich could bury his head in the sand. This is not the day to do that. Because if the ostrich saw a lion and put his head in the sand, that's not going to make the lion go away. The lion's going to eat him still. So the same thing, that if we want to close our eyes, if we want to open our eyes, we want to turn away, if we want to just go to the next Riyadh, go to the next thing at Penn's Landing, go to the next concert, whatever it is, the next poetry reading, the next whatever, and act like there is no problem, there is no misunderstanding, everything is hunky-dory, everything is cool. those problems are going to come to us right into our houses. Right into our house, right into our masajid, right into our schools that we put our children into if we have children. It'll come right into the lecture or the conference you're listening to. You'll hear something that, oh man, was that right or wrong? That made me feel weird when I heard that. My hair stood up. Like, was that correct what he said? That sounded really strange. So these things, these fitna, we avoid this fitna by learning the truth, by learning the haqq. If people are not learning the haqq, if our concern is not to learn the haqq, and the haqq also includes the sweet and the bitter. There's the what they call the bitter truth. There's the sweet truth and the happy truth, alhamdulillah. But there's the bitter truth too. And both of those sometimes are necessary, especially when there are things going on that are causing harm. Then we have to apply the medicine. I don't think anybody likes going to the dentist and getting their teeth pulled, getting root canal. But that root canal hurts. The dentist thing, that hurts one time and it's over. One time really painful, but once it's over, it's over. But that cavity can hurt you every day. Every day, pain. But you can do it at one time, get it over with, and not have to do it again. So, like I said, this is not, I'm not talking about Ramadan right now. Rajab, we're in Rajab right now. Could be talking about the beautiful things the Prophet ﷺ about Rajab and Sha'ban and Ramadan and these beautiful things, getting ourselves ready. But at the same time, ya akhwani, these classes also have to be held in most cities of the world when there's a need for it, when there is the propagation of falsehood is happening and many people are being fooled by it. When it's coming in the form of the truth. Now, we're not talking about the Qadianis. They're also here in Philadelphia. We're not talking about the Shiites. They're also here in Philadelphia. They're starting to crop up, and if they get bigger, we may have to have some talks about them too. We're not talking about the Israelites, you know what I'm saying? Because Muslims pretty much can see the falsehood in that, see the nonsense. Israelite, you don't even got an Israel passport. You're talking about Israelite. I mean, how you an Israelite? You can't even go to Israel. Astaghfirullah. But I'm just saying, it's like stuff is just like funny. Like, dude, what are you talking about? You colorful, but you're not from Israel. Your outfit is got a lot of colors and stuff, but homies, that's not where you're from, and you're not from there. Putting your label, taking a jar of syrup and putting a ketchup label on it doesn't make anything ketchup. You could have whatever names and stuff, but that's not gonna make you anything. And you go to Israel and you have land there, they're not gonna call you Israelite, dude. If you're here and you don't even own land in America, then homie, I can't call you that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of different groups already. But because, we talk about them based on the threat. Like I mentioned, there were anthropomorphists in the early days of Islam. Why they focused on the Mu'tazila so much? Because the Mu'tazila had power. The Mu'tazila was like in your face. The Mu'tazila had books, they had ulama, they had scholars that actually knew something. Like, they were dangerous, they were a threat. These dudes wasn't no nobodies, they wasn't just no average Joes. Like, these dudes had some knowledge. But they were incorrect about their methodologies, things that they were saying were wrong. So they had to be refuted. But the anthropomorphists, they never even had a head to raise up to begin with. Their heads were already so small, it's like, man, these dudes they just some jokers, man. They don't have no knowledge. They just saying the laws, Azza wa Jalla is a body, a huge man on the throne. They wackos. So because of that, because there is a threat now, because people are saying about the methodology of the Salaf, and the Salaf is this, Salaf is that, then when you look in the books, you see that the Salaf don't even say what they say. And if they think that the Salaf is Muhammad ibn Karram, because he was in an early age, they got another thing coming. He wasn't from the Salaf al-Salih. If that's the case, the Shiites could say that the Shiites have a Salaf, and that they follow the Salaf. Anybody can say that they follow Salaf if that's the case. If a person can be right or wrong, but they live in that time, no matter what they said, they just ma'asum because they lived in the first 200 years after the Hijrah, so whatever comes out their mouth is okay. No, they have to be Salaf Salih, not just Salaf. They can't just be live at that time. They have to be at Imam. They have to be recognized by the ulama of Ahlul Sunnah in that time and be accepted as being true and being correct on their methodology. Not just anybody, not Muhammad ibn Karram from the Karramiyah from Sijistan. These people, they're on some other stuff. They are, Allah Ta'ala is over the throne with a had. He has a boundary. And Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, He comes down, He sits on the throne in the lower sky. Then He goes back, He has a chair in each sky. He sits on the 7th, then the 6th, then the 5th, the 4th, the 3rd, the 2nd, the 1st. Then he puts His hands out and goes back up again. And I said, no. This is not the Aqeedah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And the thing is, like I said, when these things are being propagated and people are talking about this type of stuff, there becomes a need for that to be addressed. So without further ado, there is something I remembered I need to do, inshaAllah ta'ala, in this class. And at the beginning of that class, I forgot to do it. So I'm going to do it right now, inshaAllah tabaraka wa ta'ala. And that is Al-Asil. This is a gift for Brother Idris Maki for getting 100% on the quiz that we did. May Allah Ta'ala reward you, Akhi, and make you a brother, and the rest of us, not only for you, but may Allah make all of us give us an understanding of the deen, and especially a strong understanding and perception of the usul ad-din. The usul ad-din, the Aqeedah, has terminologies, but ikhwani, it's not that hard. It's not hard. It's not difficult. All it is just a question of understanding the meanings of those terms. But those terms unlock huge doors that if they're open, this science is open to you. So when you understand those terms, in this class, I focus up to this point mainly on the meanings of qadim, hadith, wajib, jaiz, mustahil. These were like the main things I focused on in this class. And this is just a preparation for future classes, inshaAllah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Because I plan to one day, inshaAllah ta'ala, go over the Luma'ul Adillah of Imam al-Haramain, the teacher of Al-Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, the Mujaddid of the 6th century of Islam, who died 505 years after Hijrah. Everyone has heard of him, inshaAllah. This was his teacher, Imam al-Haramain, the Imam of the 2 Harams. Meaning that he was an Imam in Mecca and Medina as far as the Aqeedah. Some scholars say he was the Imam leading the Salah, but most scholars say no, he was the Imam of the Usul ad-Din, the Imam of the Aqeedah, who would debate and not lose. He was a person who would defend through his rhetoric and through his writings, he would defend the methodology of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And that type of Imam, that position is higher than Imam who leads the Salah. Because in Islam, you can follow in Salah behind a fasik, and your Salah will be accepted. A person can be an evildoer, could be doing all kinds of sins, but your salat is for you, his salat is for him. If the imam made a mistake in a salat, then your salat is complete. If you pray behind him in congregation, your salat is complete, but he loses. فَلَهُمْ وَعَلَيْهِمْ. It's for them in full, paid in full, but he loses from what he made a mistake in salah. So the thing is that leading a salah, the prerequisites are not as high as being an imam in the Aqeedah, in the Usul ad-Din. That type of an imam, that type of imam deserves respect from everyone. And he was the imam in that area. And he was the teacher of Al-Imam Al-Ghazali, rahimahullah ta'ala. And his book on the Aqeedah, Luma'ul Adillah, is like a shortened version of what he wrote in his other books, like Al-Shamil and Al-Irshad. He has some other books that are longer, that explain the methodology and the creed of Ahlul Sunnah. But Luma'ul Adillah is short. It's just maybe 20 pages long or something like that. And it's also been explained by a great scholar named Ibn al-Tilimsani. Ibn al-Tilimsani, rahimahullah tabaraka wa ta'ala, has an excellent explanation on it. Unfortunately, the person who typed it from the manuscript, there's a lot of typos, unfortunately. Like the only copy of it that's available in the market for sale is a copy where the person who basically published it from the transcript, like he has a lot of typos in there. And without having a second one to actually verify, or having the manuscript itself, like a copy of the manuscript itself, to check and verify, this is like, it's difficult to benefit from it or to do a class from it. But some quotes, some things can be gathered from it and from other books that deal with the same topic. And from that, inshaAllah ta'ala, a class can be made. Very excellent book he did on the Aqeedah though, very good. And may Allah give us tawfiq to teach from that. But like we said, knowing these concepts we did in the quiz, and concepts like these are essential for going into something like that. Because that's like next level. That's what people have to understand, what hadith is. If they don't get that, then texts like that are over their head. So alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, everyone, here did good on the test, well, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. But mashallah, the brother got 100, so I wanted to give him something special for that, to encourage all of us, for encouragement for him and for the rest of us, inshallah, that this is just something in the dunya, but in the akhirah, for anyone who took the test, anyone who spent the time, anyone who came to the masjid and sat and dealt with the heat and you know what I'm saying, we don't have air conditioning on that, but went through whatever they went through, the reward is beyond what this whole world can give to somebody for that. For one hasana, the reward for that would be more than this whole earth. So what do you think a person who went through the effort, made sacrifice, went to Allah's house, sat down in the summertime, listened to a long class, brother talking long and drawn out, coming late and everything, you know, all of these things are in your scale of hasanat. It's just all in the unseen, it's all ghaib, it's all the unseen from us. But it's definitely there. Just as sure as we're sitting here, the reward for that is there. Bi-idhnillahi tabaraka wa ta'ala. So to continue, insha'Allah ta'ala, whoever we mentioned from the Hanabila up to this point, these were the shuyukh, the imams of the Hanbali school who affirmed, including Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahmatullahi alayh, and those ulama who came after him on the Hanbali madhab, who affirmed without any equivocal terms, only could be understood one way, that Allah is not a jism. They said straight up, Allah is not a jism, He's not a jawhar, He's not an arad, Allah is not a physical body, He's not an indivisible particle or a substance, He's not an accident or a quality of a physical body. You know what I'm saying? That's not the body itself, but goes with the body, like movement, stillness, colors, stuff like this. He's not an arad. He doesn't have diqqah, he doesn't have ghilza, he doesn't have thinness or thickness, he doesn't have a surah, he doesn't have a form or a shape, doesn't have tarkib or ta'lif. He's not, made up or built up or assembled from something else or from some kind of substance. Allah is not made up of anything, right? They said Allah doesn't have tul, He doesn't have arad, He doesn't have length, He doesn't have width. Right? He doesn't have umq or samq or like this. He doesn't have depth. So the three-dimensional object, like the 3D thing that we understand the physical body to be, Allah is outside of all of that. And this is what the imams we quoted up till now, they all affirmed this. They didn't have a neutral position on this issue. They took the position Allah is not a body. They weren't neutral. This was before Ibn Taymiyyah. Now we're going to read from the contemporaries of Ibn Taymiyyah, from the Hanbalis, and after Ibn Taymiyyah, okay, who also said the same thing. Then we're going to read Ibn Taymiyyah's sayings and see how they compare. Do they compare what these ulama are saying about Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala? Right? So look, وَفِي حَيَاةِ Ibn Taymiyyah, and in the lifetime of Ibn Taymiyyah, there was a great imam, the great shaykh. We mentioned he was the shaykh al-Hanabilati fi zamanihi. He was the shaykh of the Hanbalis in his time. The imam, the Hanbali imam from Misr, from Egypt, Ibn Hamdan al-Hanbali, who his laqab was al-Harrani, like Ibn Taymiyyah al-Harrani. He was also Ahmad ibn Hamdan ibn Shabib ibn Hamdan al-Namri al-Harrani al-Hanbali. His last name was al-Harrani, or this was a laqab, or the nickname that he had. He was also living in Ibn Taymiyyah's time. Ibn Taymiyyah born when? 661 after the Hijrah. He died, this shaykh died 695. Ibn Taymiyyah was in his 30s, his early 30s, when this shaykh died. This means this shaykh was already accomplished. He already was up there and advanced in age. He already had done what he could do as a scholar and lived a full life, and he died. When Ibn Taymiyyah took the torch pretty much in the Hanbali madhab as being one of the scholars of the Hanbali madhab, but saying things that were very radical and very different than anybody before him. Okay? So what did this shaykh say in Nihayatul Mubtadi'een fi Usul al-Din, the book we say like that, a Salafi Qadi تحقيق الدكتور ناصر بن سعود ابن عبد الله السلامة القاضي بمحكمة عفيف. He's a qadi, the judge in the court of a place called Afif, and he has a Salafi ideology, as can be seen in the footnotes here. Qala Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, this is his ideology. Okay, the thing is though, is that, like we said, the book is kind of thrown together. It didn't even have a table of contents. You can't even find the topic you're looking for in this book. As if someone trying to hide something, even the joint is imprinted in the store, it's still like they're trying to hide something from you. Like you can't find what you're looking for in here. In this book, there's a fasl, there's a chapter. He says, وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى لَيْسَ بِجَوْهَرٍ وَلَا عَرَضٍ وَلَا جِسْمٍ وَلَا تَحُلُّهُ الْحَوَادِث وَلَا يَحِلُّ فِي حَادِثٍ ولا ينحصر فيه بل هو بائن من خلقه الله على العرش لا بتحديد وإنما التحديد للعرش وما دونه والله فوق ذلك لا مكان ولا حد لأنه كان ولا مكان ثم خلق المكان وهو كما كان قبل خلق المكان. That's what he says about Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala is not a jawhar. We've mentioned jawhar means a substance or a physical thing. He's not, or also can mean an indivisible particle. He is not an arab. He is not basically an accident. He's not a jism. He's not a physical body. Right? He's not hawadith or things. That's the plural of hadith. Hadith, things that come into existence after non-existence, do not happen with Allah. So he doesn't become angry after being happy, and then after becoming happy, become angry, and then after making istiwa, coming down, and then rising. Allah, these are all hawadith. Allah does not change. He is not temporal. These are all temporalities, and He's eternal and unchanging, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So hawadith do not happen with Him, nor does He, subhanahu wa ta'ala, come into a hadith. He is not a quality, or He doesn't become a quality or such of a created thing, which would be a hadith. وَلَا يَنْحَصِرُ فِيهِ, nor is He limited by anything which is hadith. Rather, He is separate from His creation. The separation of Allah to the creation is not like the separation of this book from this book. This book is over here, this book is over here. So this is ba'in. بَيْنَهُمَا بَوْن. Like they have in between them a space or an area. This is not the baynuna of Allah to the creation. Allah is لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. He's not like them, period. Not that they're here and He's there and they have a place relative to Him. Everything is ba'in from something else with that meaning. Who watching a video, I am ba'in from you, you are ba'in from me. You're separate from me, I'm separate from you. So this is no different. That type of being separate, of physical separation, this is affirmed for all the creations. We're all separated from each other. Unless we're physically touching. We're separate. So this is not what's meant. Ba'in means Allah is mukhalif. Allah is different. He's dissimilar from the whole creation. The judgment, the ahkam that apply to them do not apply to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are faqir. They are in need. Allah ta'ala is the ghani. He's the one who doesn't need it. He's the independent who doesn't need anything. He's laysa kamithlihi shay, the one that there's nothing like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's when they say ba'in, we have to understand those meanings. Not the separation of water and milk or something like this, or this is here and that's there, so they're ba'in, or when you put oil in water, the oil rises to the top and the oil is ba'in or something like this. This is not ba'in. That's understood here. And that's why He said afterwards, لِأَنَّهُ كَانَ وَلَا مَكَانٍ, because Allah existed and there was no place. Then He created the places and He is as He was before He created the places. And He also said, وَمَنْ قَالَ إِنَّهُ بِذَاتِهِ فِي كُلِّ مَكَانٍ أَوْ فِي مَكَانٍ فَكَافِرٌ. He said also, whoever believes that Allah Ta'ala Himself is everywhere or in one place is a kafir, is a disbeliever. لِأَنَّهُ, then He explained why. Why did He say this? لِأَنَّهُ يَلْزَمُ مِنْهُ قِدَمُ الْمَكَانِ. Because that would mean that the makan, the place, is qadim, is beginningless, exists without a beginning. Because if Allah Ta'ala is in a place, a single place, one place, that means that that place must have existed like Allah, without a beginning. If He was there, then He must have always been there, because He doesn't change. So if He was somewhere, then that somewhere would have to have existed as long as He did, which is without beginning. He said, لِأَنَّهُ يَلْزَمُ مِنْهُ قِدَمُ الْمَكَانِ وَحُلُولُهُ فِي الْأَمَاكِنِ الْقَدِرَةِ وَغَيْرِهَا تَعَالَى اللَّهُ عَنْ ذَلِكَ عُلُوًّا كَبِيرًا. And it also would mean if Allah was in every place, was in all places, it would mean Allah Ta'ala occupying places of filth and dirt. And other than that, exalted is Allah from such a thing, infinitely exalted.